It's very hard to praise Bungie over things that should have been in the game at launch, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt this time. This Week at Bungie was what the fanbase needed to hear. Christopher Barrett leads off by saying, "We used to wait to talk about game updates until we were certain we could meet our deadlines to avoid letting players down if we changed our plans. No longer, we're not just listening, we are doing." I'm a firm believer in actions speak louder than words, so this is something that we're unfortunately going to have to wait and see on. And in his own words, that wait time can result in changes to the plans that they've laid out, so who knows what we're going to end up with. The biggest thing they need to keep in mind is communication, because with game development, change is inevitable, but keeping a strong, open two-way communication is extremely important for every game and not just Destiny. The list of fixes starts with one of the most glaring problems with Destiny, and that is restoring locked content back to players without the expansion pass. Bungie also stated that seasonal rewards are being reworked to reflect this change as well. And probably the most anticipated part of this blog post is the Eververse discussion. While they aren't removing Eververse, and who honestly expected that, there's no way Activision is going to take out another means of revenue. It makes them way too much money. They say that they've laid groundwork for an overhaul and that it should be implemented in Season 3. There's 3 big key changes that they've made. They want to shift the balance of new content in favor of activity rewards over Bright Ingrams. This includes adding ghosts, sparrows, and ships, all the stuff that you could only find in Bright Ingrams, back to the loot table. They also want to provide a gameplay path to earn Bright Ingrams and all contained rewards, including like your event Ingrams, so stuff, you know, like your the Crimson Days that's coming up, and like the Dawning, all those specific ones, which they're also apparently increasing the drop rate for. They also want to give players a more direct purchase option and make adjustments to Bright Ingrams to allow players to get the items they want more often. Taking RNG out of Eververse and giving people a direct option to buy the loot they actually want is one of the best decisions that they could have made towards Eververse. It's one thing to have loot boxes, it's another to have random loot boxes. Adding items back into the reward pool will lead to a lot more engagement from the player base, which is what they desperately need right now. They also discussed the roadmap for the next few months. The January 30th update will add Masterwork Armor, which provides increased damage reduction while using your super, as well as letting you re-roll the armor stat type on your Masterwork Armor. Raid loot is also getting some desperately needed improvements. Raid-specific mods are being implemented. Guaranteed loot instead of tokens on actual boss encounters, and raid tokens can be used to buy specific loot from the vendor. The February update is a real doozy, and one that people are going to be very, very happy with. Strike scoring is making a return, as well as a new feature, high score tracking. Scoring is replacing the time limit mechanic in the Nightfall, which is something I'm very much okay with. Scoring will help make the Nightfall grind more enjoyable, because you'll actually be playing the game instead of trying to speedrun through everything and just passing it by, not engaging at all. They're also adding modifiers back to heroic strikes, and while there wasn't mention of strike-specific loot, this will at least give players a more interesting and varied gameplay experience that will lend itself to replayability. That's something that I know most everybody was upset that was taken out of Destiny 1. The biggest thing in this update for me is this line here. We're taking the time we need in development of Expansion 2 that will allow us to react to player feedback from Curse of Osiris. Taking the time to fully flesh out this expansion and make it worthwhile seems like the obvious choice, and for them to say they're looking at the feedback and criticisms of Curse of Osiris can only mean an improvement, or so we can hope. Crucible is also getting some much needed love. Crucible ranking is finally making its way into Destiny with what they're calling Valor and Glory, which looks similar to the Grimoire scores back in Destiny 1, and it's determined by wins and losses. This, along with the addition of a 6v6 playlist, improved weapon balancing, adding new interesting loot for Iron Banner and faction rallies, seems like it will breathe life back into the vacant abyss that is the Crucible. There's also a lot of quality of life fixes such as vault space, multi-emotes, less duplicates, the other common gripes that have been voiced heavily, you know what they are. Now the biggest question I have to assume everyone is thinking is, can we really trust this? For me, it seems foolish to put a lot of stock into Destiny after the continuous missteps that they've made. But this at least has me a little hopeful, and it made it clear that Bungie are fully aware of how quickly it can all come crashing down on them if they don't act with a little clarity and respect towards their fans. The best thing they can do is to keep very open and transparent communication with the fan base so we are at the least informed. I believe that they will try to do the best they can, but I don't know for sure, and that's what's the most worrying about this. We've seen these types of responses that things are going to get better before, but the fact still remains that this should have been content the game launched with, and it's a huge step back and a disappointment that it got to the state it did and took the game nearly to die for any progress to be made, if progress is even made at all. This has the potential to pull the game out of the clutches of death, but we need to be wary and make sure that when Bungie slips up, that it's known and we tell them and that we are heard like we have before. Because if they go unchecked, they will only end up taking more money from the people that want the game to succeed while giving them nothing. Hey guys, let me know what you think about this response down in the comments. I'm very interested to see how people are going to react to this and whether they're going to be very upset that this is having to be done halfway, not even 4 months after the game has been out, or if people are going to be accepting of it. This is a lot of gripes that people have had and stuff that they've wanted added into it, but I still can't shake the feeling that even though this is exciting and this is great and this is what they needed to do and a huge step in the right direction for them, I still feel like we should be very cautious and keep a level head and think very clearly about what it is that we're getting into with Destiny. Problems have risen before, and problems are sure to rise again. So we just need to make sure that we are intelligent in our decisions on what we do with this. But anyways, this is semi-exciting stuff if you do enjoy Destiny and you want to be back into it. They're at least giving people a large framework of stuff that needed to be implemented and that needed to be fixed. So at least they're doing that. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. And let me know if you're going to hop back into Destiny. I know most of you probably are going to be on the fence about it. I'm a little on the fence about it myself. I'm still probably going to hold off and play when Expansion 2 comes out. And that'll be really the key factor for me, whether or not to put any stock back into this game or not. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I super appreciate and love you. I'll see you in the next video.